live, ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors. It is a Wednesday, December 17th edition of the program. We're coming to you live. We are now just 10 days out from the Military Bowl, and we've had a lot of ongoing discussion about quarterbacks and Kaden Hauser leaving and offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator leaving, and much more. And we'll continue that discussion, but at some point we do have to start turning to the game, and we'll do that a little bit today. We'll talk about ECU's quarterback plan without Kaden Hauser going into the Military Bowl. How can they find a way to compete with Pittsburgh? We'll get into that and a whole lot more over the course of the next hour. We're also going to visit with Kevin Monroe, former ECU DB. We'll get his take as his son is going into college football now, signing with Stanford, Marcus Monroe. We'll get Kevin's take as an alum on players leaving so many schools like we're seeing with ECU, also what it means for his son maybe as he looks towards his career in a crazy, crazy era of college football. We'll also talk about the news that a couple of new play callers or an old play caller, in Blake Harrell's case, will be calling the defense for the Military Bowl. And also on offense, the Pirates will have a new play caller. Blake Harrell mentioned that earlier this week. So we'll get into all that, much more. Comments are open on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you've got anything to say, drop it there. Get to it. We'll do that over the course of the next hour. One thing I did want to mention at the top of the show before I introduced Philip, our producer, is, obviously the reports came out yesterday that East Carolina was closing in on hiring Jordan Davis from North Texas as offensive coordinator. What I'm hearing, that is still the plan, that is still very likely to happen. The offer has been made, and now they're just finalizing the deal. So that is happening as we speak. These things take a while to get pushed across the line of scrimmage, so to say, or the finish line. So we'll have that. Once it's officially announced, we'll react to it even more than we did yesterday. All right, Philip Pilkinen, he's back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He's got a lot going on. He's locked in for Presbyterian ECU tonight in Minges. He's also got the Logan Zone coming up, the Patrick Johnson Show. I'm just now seeing you're wearing a basketball jersey. I was kind of saying that tongue-in-cheek, but you actually are ready for Presbyterian ECU tonight.
I am ready for Presbyterian, so I'm going as a fan. That's the biggest reason I'm ready. Like, I don't know, last time I went to an ECU sporting event as a fan, I was just going to sit up in the nosebleeds, but Hank has like a sales meeting or something, and he can't make it back in town in time. So I got Hank seats. So I'm be sitting in the good seats, 6 rows up or
what
so,
the heck?
Mid-court.
I'm trying to sit there.
Come on. Are you going to be on press row?
That was the plan, but maybe I should just cover the game from the high roller seats.
I think you should.
I mean, what's the difference?
I mean, I guess
just have
it's
my
harder
laptop.
to
I'll be on this. Yeah.
Well, you just make sure your laptop's charged. There's no outlets down there. That's really the only thing. But yeah, come sit down there with us.
I might have to do that. I might have to
It'd be
roll
me
down
and Thomas.
there you go. You guys will be having a good time, and may have to do it. Not quite courtside, but good seats, chairback seats. Can't complain. So ECU Presbyterian tonight. I haven't checked the line on that game, so maybe I'll do that during the break, and we'll get an update there. Philip will look it up. All right, we have a couple questions off the top. We'll get into. Tony says, "Get the OC deal done now," and Widespread Pirate wants to know any plans to interview Caton. I mean, I can ask Widespread. I've got a good relationship with Caton, his family, but I would be very surprised if he would want to come on. Just like, not that he's scared to come on, just it's very divisive. But I can ask. I'll extend the invitation, Philip. I don't think he's going to want to come on. Maybe in time, but right now it's a little –
yeah.
There's just a lot of jaded opinions out there.
I would be scared to read the comments live. You would definitely have to filter through the comments during breaks because you might say something the FCC wouldn't be happy about, I feel like, if we got Caton on because, like I said, there'd be some decisive stuff. Also, Pirates 3.5-point favorites tonight against the Blue Hose.
3.5-point favorites against the Blue Hose. Are you willing to lay those points in favor of the Pirates, Philip?
Jordan Riley playing?
I would assume so.
Then I believe, baby.
Philip, I worry about a letdown spot here. You're coming off a big emotional win, had to extend a lot of energy. You're not going to have many students in the building. Presbyterian, they're sneaky good. This is a tough game. I'm worried.
We'll see. I believe.
We'll see. We'll see. There's our game preview for ECU and Presbyterian. We'll have coverage for you, 94.3 The Game, 6:30 pregame show with Darren Vaught. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a fair question with Caton, and I'll ask the question, but I don't know widespread. I'm sure he's got conflicted feelings about it. All right, details of the salary. Somebody wants to know about the new OC. I'll have the contract once it's completed. I would assume around the same salary ECU's been paying, probably a 2-year deal, is what they gave John David Baker, Josh Aldridge, worth $450,000 to $500,000 annually. That's what I would assume is the package, but I'll get the contract details once that's finalized. All right, let's lead the show with Military Bowl from the standpoint of ECU. How are they going to handle this thing from a quarterback perspective? And basically, Blake Carroll, he was on Inside Pirate Athletics, not the radio show, but the TV version this week, which you can find on YouTube on the ECU Pirates Athletics page with Brian Bailey. He basically said it's next man up. I'll read the exact quote. It's next man up, and somebody has to stand back there and take some snaps. Thankfully, we've had some guys do that this year. Chaston Ditta has taken some snaps back there. Mike Wright has taken some snaps back there. Excited about both and our football team. We may throw in a few wrinkles. As I told our offensive staff earlier, we've got nothing to lose. Let's go let it rip. Go have fun with it. So I think, as we kind of expected, Philip, we're going to see a combination of Mike Wright and of Chaston Ditta. And I expect them both to play. Now, there's a lot of, I won't say a lot, there's some ECU fans that say, let's play Chaston Ditta the whole game. Let's get a look at the future, evaluate it. And I get that from a future and a business outlook standing point, because this really is a business, and it's one of those things. With ECU, they're going to have to go find a quarterback to pay a lot of money to. You would like to know if Ditta can handle a game like this, at least be competent. But at the same time, you've got 30 seniors, and you got Mike Wright as a senior. Like, your chances of those guys being fully invested is by playing Mike Wright and giving your team the best chance to win. Now, that might be Chaston Ditta once the game gets going, once they evaluate film and all that. But I think you're going to see them both play. And if Mike Wright goes out there early and struggles, or Ditta, vice versa, then I think you'll see the other guy get a shot. I just think it's going to be a game time feel. Obviously, you go in with a plan, but then you'll have to adjust probably as the game moves on.
Yeah, look, Chaston Ditta ceiling, pure passer, better than Mike Wright. With that being said, who are the guys going to rally behind? This is no disrespect to Chaston, but Chaston's 18 years old. We all know how this locker room views Mike Wright. If you need a guy to lead you into battle, whether it be a football game, a business meeting, actual war, I'm choosing Mike Wright regardless to lead my team into battle.
Baby.
Yeah, the briefcase I believe in. Also, I think it is the point. I do understand the future, and the future is what is important. But also, I think we owe it to Mike Wright to let him go out there and play a lot in his final college football game. This dude has done so much, not just on the field, but the stuff at practice, stuff we don't even see. The young man deserves to be given opportunities. And, I know at the end of the day it's about the team. It's not about the individual player, but you are in a bowl game. Like Blake said, we've got nothing to lose. This young man has poured his heart and soul into a program that has only given him 1 year. And, he's gotten some playing time, but he probably hasn't got as much as he wanted or as much as he deserves. Let the guy go out there and have some fun. Whatever happens, happens. Now, with that being said, yeah, you got to Chaston Ditta some reps against somebody other than Campbell. I do believe that, but, at the end of the day, let's send these seniors off right. Let's let all 30 of them play. Let's let them enjoy one last football game. I wish I had one more, I know. So, let them have fun.
And the thing about Mike Wright, we have to remember, I mean, this guy has, I think, started over 30 career games at quarterback. He's not going to go out there. And, yeah, Pittsburgh's got a great team, and they have a great secondary. We'll get into that in a second. But Like, he's not going to go out there and be intimidated. I mean, this dude has played in the highest levels of college football with Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, who were, at the time, were two of the worst teams in the SEC. And he had to go in there and try to win football games. And he did win some football games. He's thrown for 2,887 career passing yards. He's rushed for nearly 1,400 yards in his career. And so, like, he's gone out there and had success. And that's counting sacks, by the way. So that number is probably much higher. So, look, there is a lot of football that Mike Wright has played. There's not much he hasn't seen. Now, is he the best pure quarterback throwing the football? No. And he would be the first to admit that. But at the same time, he can go out there for a half a game and put ECU in a position to win. He's not going to go out there and freak out, which, like, I'm not saying Chasten did it is, but you just don't know what you're going to get there, Philip.
No, you don't. So here it is. He started 11 games at Vanderbilt. He started 3 at Mississippi State and 2 at Northwestern. So the game's not going to happen a million miles an hour to him. Like, this guy is a Division I quarterback. Like, I think sometimes because he's this freak athlete, we've had Kate and we forget that, like, we think, oh, he's like a, Thomas Sirk kind of deal. Like, no, he's a legit Division I quarterback, not just Division I athlete. So, yeah, and that's the other thing with Chasten, like, too, if he's not ready and you throw him out there, could that hurt his confidence? You don't want to ruin a kid either. So there's that side of these things. And like I said, give him some opportunities. We've seen him make some great throws at practice, seen him make some great throws in games, but also, like, the kid's 18. Like, it's going to be happening a million miles an hour to him with an ACC defense, and who knows what this Pirate offensive line is going to look like. Now, the good thing is there are 3 seniors on it, so you'd expect to at least have 3 starters, but who knows about the other guys. So, it's about balance, and it's about not hurting anything for the future. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Mike Wright can win football games. I mean, heck, he's won 6 Division I FBS football games as a starting quarterback. So it's not like he's never won.
And in many of those, his teams were underdogs. And look, I do think your best chance to win is probably start right, see what works early. Talking with Bobby Howard yesterday, he's doing a film breakdown for Pittsburgh. The one thing that worries me is it sounds like they basically will load the box with their safeties, and they will press man you at corner, and they will dare you to beat them with the passing game. So if that's the case, obviously, and you go with Mike Wright, you're going to have to hit some shots downfield. I mean, he's got arm strength. You still have Anthony Smith, we understand, as we understand today. So, like, if they're going to play press man coverage, if Anthony Smith can get off that press and get downfield, I'm fine throwing him the ball. Throw it as far as you can, Mike Wright, and let Anthony Smith try to run over it. I mean, I think realistically, I know we get some questions about Pittsburgh, how full capacity are they? At this point, there's been no reports of them opting out, but I'd just be surprised they don't have some guys leave. But they've done a good job of keeping it quiet, so I don't know what exactly is going on in Pittsburgh. We'll talk about that with Mark Miller tomorrow. But, if it's clear that it's not working early with Mike Wright, then I think you go to Chasten Ditta, and he can throw the football. He's probably a more prolific passer, a little bit more accurate. And so, but I think you got to start, give Mike Wright a shot. So, but when you hear that, Philip, Pittsburgh, unless they change entirely, which I don't think they would in these circumstances, they're going to come up, they're going to challenge ECU's receivers. You don't have Yannick Smith. We talked about it yesterday. You're going to get some opportunity for other receivers to step up, but that concerns me if I'm East Carolina, that they're going to play some press man. They're going to beat you up at the line of scrimmage. So ECU is going to have to find a way to match that physicality and honestly find a way to beat them deep a couple times to burn them.
You are, and this is where it comes to, you have to be really good at stemming your routes when you play against press man. So those you don't know, stemming route is when a guy is in your face and he bumps you off of your initial route path. You've got to be able to work back onto it. The reason why you have to be able to work back onto it, it affects your timing with your quarterback, and it also, when you work back on top of the defender and you do to go make that plant, it's easier to get quick separation from the defender, as opposed to when he's got you off your plane. He can kind of be off of you and then see where you're going to break. So, look, that's where you're going to rely on your oldest receivers. Yes, when you play press man, you want guys who are physical. You want guys who are fast. But when you look at a guy like Peyton Mangrum, who has played at the at the SEC level, do you look at a guy like that just because his football IQ is so good and he knows how to do things like this? And, you talk about Anthony Smith. You make their strength, their weakness. If their strength is press man, throw it up to your guy who you know is a burner and see if you can cause them to back off. But also, with that being said, you got to put the ball in tight windows, right? So, arm talent, Chaston Ditta's probably got it. The ability to throw in tight windows when they're in a situation where there's 8 guys in the box and you're under pressure. I'm going to give the nod to the 23, 24-year-old who carries around a briefcase all day. So it kind of goes back to it's going to be interesting to see who can just step up in that moment. But, hey, challenge accepted, right? You want to be the best. You want to say we belong in the ACC one day. Here's an opportunity.
And the other factor is if they play a lot of man coverage, I'll have to dive more into it. Obviously, a running quarterback can expose that more if you are able to beat the pocket if guys are locked up downfield. So we'll get more into the matchup as we get closer, but there's your quarterback situation, some combination of Mike Wright and Chaston Ditta. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will visit with Kevin Monroe. We'll get his take on all things going down. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. We're 10 days out from the Military Bowl. ECU will take on Pitt. We'll get more into that game as we get closer. As we talked about in segment 1, it'll be a combination of Mike Wright, Chaston Ditta at quarterback with Caden Hauser leaving. That's the big news of this week. We'll get into it now with Kevin Monroe, ECU analyst on the ECU Sports Network. Also, we'll talk about college football as a whole with his son about to enter it at Stanford. Kevin, first off, welcome back. Secondly, we'll start from the top. It's been a tough week for ECU fans, news-wise, with OC, DC, quarterback leaving. Just what's been your take on it as an alum?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the players leaving hurts. Coaches are replaceable. You get a good office coordinator. You can find a good office coordinator a lot of different places. It sounds like we might have found one. And you can't. The goal is to do your job at the highest level possible as a coach, as a player. And so it's hard to fault JDB for wanting to go to be an SEC office coordinator. So you wish him well and hope that he does good with the Pirate name as he moves forward. The defense coordinator, that was a little bit different, a little bit iffy in my opinion. That was a lateral move and not a move upward. So that bothered me more than JDB leaving. As for the players, obviously having Hauser back sets your team up to look really good next year, to hope to be maybe one of the group of 5 teams that has an opportunity to make the playoff. But I'll just say this, and I've seen a lot of comments online and people knocking Hauser for not being a true Pirate and leaving the program, and simplifying it to make it seem like, oh, it's all about the money. It sounds really kind of coy and cliche to say it that way, but you know what? The money is really important, and I'll say this: Hauser's probably not going to be an NFL quarterback. I don't want to knock him. I wish him the best. I hope he is an NFL quarterback one day, but he's probably not going to make millions and millions of dollars in the NFL. So he's got the next 12 months to make as much money as he can to set his life up, to set his future up for the next 40, 50 years. Imagine yourself, myself, any other regular college graduate starting with a couple $1 million in the bank as a 22, 23-year-old. Imagine how your life would have been different if you'd have had that head start. And so for him to go and get that extra money, in my opinion, is the right thing to do. Now, it doesn't mean, he made it only about the money. I'm sure he didn't, but the money was a huge part of it. I hope he goes somewhere where he can, start and play well and give himself an opportunity to get drafted and all that good stuff. But let's not minimize how important getting the money is. This is a different day and age, and for you to compare him to a David Garrard or a Holton Ahlers or any of these guys that didn't really have this opportunity is unfair. Because if we asked, Shane Carden going into his senior year, if somebody would have offered him $2.5 million or whatever the number is, if he would have listened, he'd probably be not telling the truth if he would have said he would have at least listened. Doesn't mean he would have left. So, I back off my high horse just to say all of us would have listened. Had they offered me that kind of money going into my senior year, I would have listened. I don't know what I would have done, but let's not knock these guys for paying attention and taking advantage of the current system. If you want to knock anything, knock the current system.
No doubt. I think that's very, very well said, Kevin. It is a different day and age. These guys are making very tough decisions at a young age, and look, money talks. I mean, that's very real. If I can make Kevin Monroe the commissioner of college football, which is, I don't know if anybody can really become the commissioner and fix it entirely, but like in your ideal world, would you put guardrails on how many times you can transfer, or would you change the transfer portal window? John Gilbert's talked about moving it to the spring, doing away with spring ball and basically making the NFL model OTAs, summer workouts, and then that way the postseason matters again. I kind of like that idea, and you have that one spring transfer portal window. Any thoughts on the big picture as Kevin Monroe sees it?
Yeah, I like all those ideas. Honestly, I thought them moving it to one transfer portal period and moving it to January was going to be good, because then people wouldn't announce until after the bowl games. But we see that's not the case, because what people want to do is they want to get out ahead of the portal actually opening. So Caden Hauser saying, I'm probably going to go into the portal, even though the portal isn't open yet, that lets coaches know that, okay, this guy is going to be available, and they can start, doing whatever recruiting of him that they want to do. That's probably smart. And he knows that if I go play in this one last game and if I get hurt, knock on wood, if I get hurt, I'm ruining any chance I have of going and getting that big payday. And so they're going to opt out. So we were probably wrong in just going to January. You're probably right. Spring's probably better. It still might be a little bit dicey because, spring, is it still enough time to heal from a serious injury if you play in that extra game? I don't know, but at least you get past the bowl game, and if people want to play and haven't decided whether they're going to opt in or opt out, they can do it then. In terms of the transfer, I am in agreement with that. I think you get one free transfer, and then the next one that you have to sit out. That would be the way I would play it. The only caveat being is if your head coach leaves. If your head coach leaves and you want to leave after that, then you should get another opportunity to leave, because it is about the coaches. These coaches recruit you. These coaches have a certain system that you want to play for. If they up and leave and some other coach comes in and wants to run the triple option or whatever, something you didn't sign up for, that shouldn't be on you. So, yeah, I think you get one free transfer, and then after that, you have to sit out a year. That probably would have affected Caden Hauser, obviously, if that rule would have been in effect. And so, yeah, it is tough to see guys leave 2 and 3 times because that's not what it's made out to be. So, yeah, those 2 things I would definitely change. In terms of the money and how that, certainly they're trying to work with that and giving each team the max of $20.5 million, I think, something like that for the whole program. And obviously some teams are nowhere near that. I do think there should be some kind of guardrails because it's kind of the Wild Wild West in forms of NIL and things like that. I think players should make money. How much they make, maybe there should be something on that, but I'm not the person to decide that.
Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst with us. Well, hey, your son, Marcus Monroe, he'll be a freshman at Stanford shortly. Are you ready to deal with all this firsthand as having a kid in the system? Are you ready for that in the future years?
No, I don't think anybody can be ready. I don't know what to expect. Will he redshirt his first year? Will they want him to play? What his course load will be like. I already know the money they're offering him, but that changes every year. So what will they offer him going into his sophomore year? How will that work? Will I start getting phone calls? Will his high school coach start getting phone calls after a couple of years to try to get him a transfer? Who knows? And so it's going to be the Wild Wild West. I do know 2 things. I know, one, he wants a Stanford degree, and we want that for him. But also I know if given the opportunity, right situation, right amount of money, right play and stuff, he'd love to play on the East Coast one day. So he's not, 4,000 miles or whatever it is away from his family. So who knows what could happen down the road. But I do know he wants that degree, and he's excited about playing at Stanford.
All right, Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst with us. We'll get a few more things, get him out of here. So the news is not official yet, but I was texting with some people this morning. It sounds still like that ECU will likely hire Jordan Davis, the North Texas offensive coordinator. Now, he did not call the plays in North Texas. Their head coach, Eric Morris, who's going to Oklahoma State, did, but he's been Eric Morris's right-hand man for the past 8-9 years. What do you make of that move? And it sounds like ECU will stay with the up-tempo, air raid-esque, wide-open offense.
I love that. I think that's what East Carolina is and needs to be. And, kind of post Liberty Peach Bowl and Jeff Blake, where they ran some option and did a bunch of things like that. I think kind of post that era, they've been a spread offense. I mean, that's what Steve Logan brought in. That's what every coach for the most part has run since the Logan era. And I think, you can get in the group of 5 category, you can get a ton of good skill position players. You're not going to have all of the 6'7", 330-pound linemen, but you're going to have a ton of skill players to choose from. And so when you have that, when you have a ton of athletes, you need to spread the field out and use your speed to win games. And that's the only way you're going to compete with Power 4 schools, especially when they have bigger, stronger, faster guys. And so, yeah, I love to bring in another spread-oriented offensive coordinator that's going to be up-tempo. And, some people got a little bit, agitated about how fast the Pirates went. Sometimes they went too fast. It might be a 3rd and short, and they're going crazy, and they don't pick it up because they don't take time to think it through. So he probably, nobody goes as fast as JDB. But I do love the up-tempo and keeping defenses off guard and tired. And so, yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it'd be a great hire if it happens because he's one of the hot names in college football, and for us to be able to just slot him in right after JDB leaves, I think will be great, and I think it'll be a good calming factor for recruits and anybody we try to go get in the portal to know that the offense is in good shape.
It'll be an 11 a.m. kickoff from Annapolis, December 27th. I know, Kevin, you were looking at potentially calling the bowl game. Have you guys made a decision on that?
I was talking with Philip off the air on that, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the game. It's a weird deal. I couldn't tell my wife not to plan our holiday vacations until the bowl game date and time came out because it was just too tight of a planning window. And so she went ahead and booked something right after Christmas, hoping that it wouldn't interrupt with anything bowl related. And here you have a December 27th game. So we have a family post-Christmas vacation planned. And, as I told Philip, I've been choosing the Pirates kind of over family stuff for 23 years. And the look I got from my wife when I said I might not be able to make the vacation was not the one I want to get from her. So I'm going to go ahead and opt out of the game and spend time with the family, especially because I may not get very many Christmases over the next 4 or 5 years with Marcus, assuming they'll be in bowl games or whatever at Stanford. And so I'm going to not do the bowl game, and I'm going to go on a Christmas vacation with my family.
Hey, I cannot blame you there. And that way, hey, you get to go out with the victorious Memphis game as well as your final game called. tough to top that.
I appreciate what the radio station did for me and all the things that they did on air during the last game, simulating it as if it was going to be my last one, because ultimately it was. And so that was a good feeling. It was a great win. So, yeah, it'll be a memory I have forever.
All right, last thing for you, Kevin. With this uncertainty, obviously both play callers gone, but it sounds like Blake will call the defense, and it's going to be a staff effort on offense with Rodney Freeman, the running backs coach, calling the plays, and no quarterback, at least Caden Hauser, gone. What are expectations? What are fair expectations for this bowl game from your vantage point?
Well, what I haven't paid attention to, because I've been all Pirates all the time, is I haven't paid attention to what this period has done for Pitt. I mean, have they lost any big name guys? Have any of their guys gone to the portal? I'm not really sure. I'm sure you know a little bit about that, but I think it's going to matter. 11 versus 11, who they have out there, who we have out there. I think what we've seen from Mike Wright Jr. And the young freshman backup, that they both can get the job done. They both can go in and run the offense, and I'm not worried about the play callers per se. I mean, these guys have been with JDB for a couple of years now. They know how he calls the plays. They have all his play sheets. They have all the scheme. They know what to do to call the right plays and the plays that this offense knows. It'll be a little bit tough without Hauser, obviously. So the quarterback's going to have to step in and make some throws. But you've got good running backs. You've got a solid offensive line. The plays will be there. They'll just have to execute. It just depends on how good the 11 is that Pitt puts out there versus the Pirates. So we'll make a decision on how well this game goes. But certainly we'll be a little bit handicapped without our signal caller.
He is Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst. Kevin, we appreciate it as always, man. And again, enjoy Christmas, the holidays. I'm sure we'll be hitting you up sometime next year, man. But enjoy it with Marcus, the family, and everything before he heads off to college. But we appreciate it.
No, thank you, Igo. I appreciate you guys having me on every week. And Merry Christmas to you guys. And I'm excited for the Pirates in this bowl game. I'm sure they'll be fine, and for these hires that come up, and also this transfer portal. I mean, we got to replace a lot of guys, so hopefully we do a good job there.
No doubt. Big off season ahead and brighter days ahead for the Pirates. Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst, always appreciate his time on Hoist the Colors. Always great to speak with him. Let's get a break in. When we come back, Philip and I will share our take, our thoughts on who will be calling the plays for the Pirates in the Military Bowl 10 days from now. We'll get into that and more next.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef,
brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Remember,
welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, third segment here. We just talked to Kevin Monroe. Philip Pilkington hanging out in the 94.3 The Game studios. We'll get to him in a minute. Wants to answer some of your questions real quick. Kenny Curling says, Igo, have you put a list of potential quarterbacks that we could go after now? Kenny, great question. At about 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever we're on now, I posted on hoistthecolors.net an early look at potential quarterback options in the transfer portal for ECU. So you can head there. It'll be the first of many lists, and there's some solid names. And I've got a question for you, Philip, and we're going to talk about the play call thing in a minute, because I'm racking my brain over this. As I put together this list, there's guys who have had a bunch of success at the FCS level, but you never know, or the Division II level. There's even those type of guys. You never know how that's going to translate to FBS football. So there's those type of guys in the portal. There are also the type of guys who were major recruits, who have not played hardly at all, like a Jaden Davis at Michigan, who was a 4-star recruit, got recruited over by Bryce Underwood. He's from North Carolina. He's in the portal. Kenny Minchie from Notre Dame, same type of deal, 4-star recruit. Hasn't played, lost the quarterback competition to CJ Carr. Let's say you could only afford one of them. In an ideal world, you could bring in both. Would you rather have the guy who's got the clear tools and higher upside? Because most of these guys from FCS are like 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", but they've played and they've had success. And we got to remember there's no spring portal. So what you get in January is what you're going to be stuck with. If you had to pick one, what would you rather have? The Power 4 guy who hasn't played with more talent, or the FCS guy who has played and done it at a lower level?
Power 4 guy. I remember back in the day of Baker, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, that run at Oklahoma, every single backup quarterback for those guys transferred out, started, and was pretty damn good. Michael Pratt started at Oklahoma, I believe, right? He was a kid who was at SMU, right?
So,
Pratt was a kid at Tulane.
Pratt was a kid at Tulane.
Who was the kid at SMU that was really good?
You were thinking about the guy who played under Sonny Dykes. I know who exactly you're talking about. Buechele, right? Shane
No.
Buechele?
See, I would have put this up in the break if I knew. Tanner Mordecai.
Yeah. Okay.
Tanner
so he
Mordecai?
was either before or after Buechele.
Yeah.
Yep.
Started at Oklahoma, went to SMU, was a good starter. Austin Kendall, same thing, went to West Virginia. Wasn't great, but I think if he had been at a school like East Carolina, it would have worked out great. Caden Hauser, Michigan State. When you look at these guys, they're recruited for these teams for a reason. And usually they don't play, not because they suck. They don't play because the guy ahead of them is that freaking good. Again, the Oklahoma scenario, the guys were sitting behind number 1 overall picks. They came to, that's what Tanner Mordecai was doing. They came to the American or wherever and were successful. Those are the guys you want to go get.
Yeah, and even so Buechele was at Texas, and then he went to SMU and thrived there. So same type of deal. Mordecai was at Oklahoma, and yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if I could get a slam dunk like this Western Carolina kid, I think he's going to end up going Power 4, but Teron Dickens completed 74% of his passes, 3,500 yards, 38 touchdowns, 2 picks, and he can run. Like, he's only 5'11", but I'm telling you, man, this guy's film is electric. What you really need is a guy who can evaluate the tape or recruited said player out of high school, has a connection, and you just got to go with what your eyes tell you, what you trust. Obviously, stats are good, but you got to know a person's upside. And if they're coming from FCS, how's it going to translate? The Mercer quarterback has been thrown out there a lot. North Carolina native, threw for 3,600 yards this year, Jerry Rice Award winner, FCS Freshman of the Year. How is his game going to translate to a potential ECU? So those are things that ECU coaching staff has to discuss, specifically the new offensive coordinator. Speaking of that, we had a question. Can the new offensive coordinator call the plays in the bowl game? Absolutely not. It's just not realistic. You cannot install a scheme, and he doesn't even know the personnel. The players don't know his scheme. Are there similar concepts to a degree between what he runs and what John David Baker ran? In some regards, yes, but you just can't come in a week and do that. So that's impossible. So that will not be happening. Now, who is going to call offensive plays in the bowl game? Blake Harrell, again, was on Inside Pirate Athletics with Brian Bailey earlier this week. He said the following, quote, Coach Tesh on defense is being the organizer. And he mentioned everybody is pitching in on both sides of the ball. But he said, quote, I'll probably step in on game day and put the final call in there. Offensively, they're doing a good job of throwing ideas out. Coach Maddox is doing a good job meshing it all together, making sure everybody's voice gets heard. And then Rodney Freeman, the running backs coach on game day, will be the final guy to put the play call in. So now we were hearing Hunter McKay, who is basically the signal guy, JDB's right-hand man, came from Ole Miss. We were hearing he would be a strong option to call plays. I don't know what exactly happened there. We haven't been able to get out of practice, but they're going with Freeman as the play caller. And Maddox, which makes sense as the O-line coach, and with his background, he's coached a lot of high-caliber football. It makes sense he would put the plan together. You want your O-line in unison, and then everything kind of works from there in this offense. So, running backs coach, though, you don't hear too many running backs coaches calling plays. So I'm interested to see. Now, Rodney Freeman was a play caller in high school at multiple stops and at Colorado Mesa Division II school for a spring season. So he at least has some experience. But I don't know. Offensively, Phillip, I worry. I know Kevin Monroe said he's not too worried because these guys know what JDB runs, and I agree to an extent. But also, like, there is an art to play calling. And you have a quarterback situation that's an unknown, so there's just a lot that could go wrong on offense. And are they going to be able to play with the same tempo? That's what I worry about, too. One of the greatest aspects of this offense is tempo. Are you going to be able to do that with this many moving parts?
You're going to have a lot of new faces playing in positions they maybe don't have a lot of reps in. And on top of that, you're going to be playing against an opponent that, let's just call it a spade, is probably better than you. They're at least bigger, faster, and stronger. Right, and I'm not saying this game's unwinnable because it's not. They're not that much better than you, but they're the better team. They're a bigger conference. They've got more size, especially up front. So, like, I think not anybody, but anybody in these guys' shoes can call a game when the going is good. What do you call when 1st and 10 becomes 2nd and 12 and becomes 3rd and 8? That's the tough spot. And until you've learned that art, you can't do it. Until you've been in the fire, you can't do it. And then on top of that, like, even when you have learned it, you see it with new OCs all the time, or like they're in a new position as an OC and they've been a previous play caller. It still takes like 2 or 3 weeks getting used to the personnel. Well, this personnel, like you said, Steven, on the field won't even be 100% used to playing with each other because there's so many moving parts. I mean, there's no right answer as to who should call the plays. There's no wrong answer. And look, there's going to be some growing pains on those first couple drives. And that's where, we're going back to our conversation earlier, like, well, if it's not working with a quarterback, do you yank them quick? Like, yeah, maybe, but also, like, how much of that's on the play calling too? It comes back to, I'm not trying to dog anybody who's not here to defend themselves, but if JDB did not have his hand held for those first 6 or 7 games last year by Mike Houston, could Jake Garcia have looked like a different quarterback than he did? I'm not saying he would have played at the level of Caden Hauser, but I think he would have played better. So man, it's tough. And you got 2 weeks to get this crap figured out. And with the 2 weeks in there, you've got exams. You've got, guys going home for holidays. I think they're sending them home for a couple days. This is just, it's a Charlie Foxtrot. That is what it is.
It is. The players, by the way, are on the way home talking to some people. I saw Jamarly Riddle just posted he got back to Georgia on his Instagram. So, they're basically going to come back Sunday, and you want to give them time at home with their families for Christmas. That's just the right thing to do. You can't hold them hostage for this amount of time. It also allows Blake and the coaches to really get started on a game plan, spend time with their families as well before they depart for Annapolis. But it's tough. It's tough to do. The other thing I was talking about with Bobby is this matchup is one with the way Pittsburgh plays defense. You want to use tempo because their third down package is extremely exotic. They love to get out there and instead of just putting 4 down linemen, they'll kind of hover 6 guys around the ball, and it's hard to figure out who's coming, who's not. Well, you know how you negate that? On second down, you run your play. On third down, you don't let them sub. You go tempo, and you keep them out of that stuff. But, if you're unsure what you want to do offensively, then you can't really do that. So I think ECU is going to have to try as best as possible to play its game, to go tempo, to try to keep Pittsburgh on their heels. Because I think if you play to pick – one thing I noticed during the BYU games, ECU got out of its game, and that was with Caden and JDB. They stopped going tempo, and they would check with me at the line, and all of a sudden BYU's out there. They're throwing their exotic looks, and ECU just looked out of it. So the biggest benefit of this offense in many cases is going tempo and using that to your advantage. And some teams in the ACC run tempo. Obviously, Pittsburgh does to a degree with Bell calling their plays offensively, but it is a bit of a different scheme. So I think you got to try to do what you do best, even with new coaches, even with a new quarterback. I'm sure part of ECU is hey, maybe if we just sit on the ball, play defense, try to win a low-scoring game, we can do that since the defense is more intact than the offense. But at the same time, then you're taking yourself out of your game entirely on offense. Unless you just truly want to go, hey, let's just go Mike Wright, and we're going to run zone read the whole game and kill clock, try to maybe bust a big one or two. So I am fascinated to see what the game plan ultimately is because with John David Baker not there, he's not coming up with the offensive game plan. It's truly Maddox. And does Blake step in and say, hey, let's for this game, maybe our best chance at winning is just running the football and playing defense. That's something I'm going to be noticing or watching closely the first drive or two. How is ECU playing this thing offensively?
Yeah, one of the things, and Steven, what I'm about to say may not work because it may have not been installed in the offseason, but when the RPO game became really, really prevalent in football, it was the run of the tailback and the pass of the receiver, and that was about it. But before it became really a big thing, and you just had certain teams kind of doing it, especially the high school level, a lot of times it was a triple option pass, right? So you had the receiver, the running back, and the quarterback could run as well. If those plays were already part of install over the summer, knowing that Mike Wright could be the starting quarterback at some point if something happened to Caton, if they're in the system, I could see us doing that. So, yes, there's zone reads a lot, and that's maybe your basis, but you still run the RPO game, but then you have Mike Wright as an option, whereas Caton really was not it was just throw or hand off. But, you may, and really all you do is it just changes kind of who one guy has to block. So, I don't know. It's a hypothetical, but it could be part of the game as well to kind of hybrid in, sticking with what you do, but modifying it for Mike Wright.
All right, we got to get our final break in. The first answer to this from Johnny. He says, is Coach Maddox still heading to Kansas, or is it possible that he could stay? He's coaching through the bowl game, from my understanding, and I have heard he's most likely to go after that. I was here in Kansas, not sure what exactly that status is, but I lean more towards he's probably leaving unless something changes. Now, he has worked under coaches with some air raid background, so maybe he looks at staying with Davis being the potential hire, but we'll we'll try to get more info on that. But latest info I had was he was likely gone after the bowl game. So to answer that question, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll answer any other questions and concerns to wrap up the show after this.
Don't miss year-end deals during the season of giving at Greenville Toyota. Drive a new Camry, just $229 a month, $229 a month. Or new RAV4, $279 a month, $279 a month. Hurry in for the season of giving at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors, with locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
The season of giving is here at Greenville Toyota. Unwrap a new Corolla, $159 a month, $159 a month. Or new Tacoma, $219 a month, $219 a month. Don't miss the season of giving with year-end deals at Greenville Toyota.
With Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here, final few minutes. I had a couple more questions I wanted to answer before we get out of here. Somebody asked, with Yannick Smith opting out, not playing, who will step up at receiver? So a couple guys come to mind. If you're looking for a bigger physical receiver, Keelan Robinson's a senior, former Kansas transfer. He will be playing his last game. Malik Leverett, redshirt sophomore, also has some pretty good size. ECU could also potentially move Brock Spalding from the slot to outside and get more Peyton Mangrum and Jaron Waiters, two slot guys in there. Mangrum has also played outside too. Tyler Johnson, former Penn State transfer. So those are the receivers you will see with Yannick entering the portal and choosing not to play. Graham Till wants to know, what do we think about Coach Shank still being with our program? Will he help with the bowl game? But Coach Shankweiler is a man of many talents at this point. He is obviously an O-line guy, but he has coached multiple positions. He's coordinated. I have no doubt he will help in many regards. Just an outstanding person to have on staff. So with his background, certainly will make an impact in the bowl prep and just keeping everybody together. We had an interesting question. I don't think this will ever come to fruition, but if David wants to know that if on January 15th, Caden Hauser decided that he still wanted to come back and play for ECU, would he be welcome back? So, I mean, you've got several layers there. First off, if ECU doesn't have a quarterback by January 15th, they'll probably take anybody. Now, probably the more appropriate question is if Katin Houser decided on January 2nd that he wasn't like the offers he was hearing from the portal and he wanted to come back, would you take him? I mean, yeah. You found a way to make it work. Bygones be bygones at that point. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But I guess it's conceivable. I mean, at this point, he hasn't technically entered the portal and won't until January 2nd. So, look, I mean, backroom deals are being done, Phillip, but any scenario where Katin Houser wouldn't be welcome back, I guess would depend on if ECU already had another quarterback in place at that point.
Yeah, this actually happens a lot. Now, it's a little different when it's the quarterback opting out of a bowl game and all that, but there's a lot of times where guys will, and you're seeing it more at like the baseball level, though, probably than football, but I've seen it happen at a lot of schools where guys are like, hey, I'm just going to test the waters and see what happens. Okay, nothing happened. Hey, I want to come back, and guys come back. It's not abnormal at all. But I do wonder kind of, like you said, if we're in a situation where we have to take him, we'll take him. But I do understand kind of the thing, like he's opting out of the bowl game. We're offering him plenty of money. We're offering him a starting job, and he's leaving. I do think there would be maybe a little more tension there. But, yeah, if that's the only scenario you got to win a conference championship next year, he'll do whatever it takes to win.
All right, we're out of time. John Moody did want to know the show schedule for next week. So next week we will have a show Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. So we'll have one Monday, Tuesday, Friday. That's the plan. We'll take Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off and have one before the bowl game next Friday. So we'll also have an altered schedule for the week of New Year's. We'll get that to you here tomorrow or the next day as well. So Hoist the Colors will roll on. Tomorrow we'll have Mark Miller, award-winning host from 107.9. He's a giant Pittsburgh fan, so we'll have him on the show to break down the Panthers and much more. So we'll see you Thursday, 12 noon in studio. We'll talk to you then.